We're branding this as New Excellon. It's a transformational transaction for the company. The acquisition of Negra is a fully permitted, past-producing asset with a 12 to 18-month development plan. Returns Excellon to producer status, in an accelerated timeline. Operational readiness is targeted for 2024. Provides us with that critical mineral exposure, that's silver, zinc, and copper. It's historically been an underexplored land package, so significant potential to expand mineralization both near mine and at depth. And I think what's critical is understanding a restructuring of the debentures. We provide additional financial flexibility and through the extension of maturity and an early conversion of a portion of the debentures.
Hello, welcome back to my network. I'm with Sean Hayworth, the President and CEO of Excellon Resources. Sean, good to have you back on.
Hi, Peter. Good to see you again. Thank you for having me here.
So obviously today is a big announcement. You've just made an acquisition, a past producing mine in Mexico, the Negra. Perhaps just to start with, give us a bit of an overview of the project, why you decided to take it on.
Hey, thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Yeah, so today Excellon announced the acquisition of the La Negra mine, a past producing asset based in Querétaro, Mexico, approximately 2.5 hours northwest of Mexico City in central property. We're excited about it. We've been to site. What makes us excited about the project really is 2 or 3 specific things. Number one, polymetallic nature. It's a primary silver. 40% of our NSR is silver production, or will be, combined with copper, zinc, and lead. Copper and zinc being 25% respectively. We look at it as a near-term restart opportunity. 12 to 18-month de-risking timeline is what the company is focusing on to bring this back into production. Think it's probably the right time given where commodity prices are trending, catching updraft in the commodity markets. And finally, it's relatively been underexplored, past producer that produced consistently over the last 30 years, but a lot of work can be done and exciting work can be done in the exploration of the project as well. So we think the land package itself, 80,000 plus hectares, with significant upside, both along strike and also at depth to find additional mineralization potential.
It did have a 43-101 and a PEA released on the asset back in March 2022. Maybe you could just run over that. It's a 7-year mine life. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about the amount of ounces or pounds and ounces in the ground, and then also about actually the economic post-tax numbers, what we could be looking at here.
Yeah, brief history of the asset. It produced consistently over the last 10, 15 years, shut down during COVID in 2017, 2018 period, at which point that time the operator of the asset was Orion Mine Finance. They looked to complete a 9,800 meter drill program to relook at the ore body and set up a what I would call a restart plan, a preliminary economic assessment of the mine. That PA was completed in March of this year, or March of 2022, sorry, and forms the basis of some of the work that we've done in our technical analysis. So a high level of that PEA is we're looking at around $21 million CapEx. For restart. It's largely around refurbishment and a development or construction of a tailings dry stack facility, filter tailings facility for dry stack deposition. The plan is around 12 to 18 months restart, as we said, and focus will be on production, about 1.2 million ounces of silver annually, and around 2.5 to 3 million ounces of silver equivalent, based on long-term commodity price estimates.
Okay. And I also saw all-in sustaining costs are pretty low on this as well, right? So it's about 12.
Looking at all-in sustaining costs at $12.95 with a net present value at 5% discount rate of $132 million. Again, that's all based on long-term commodity price estimates as per analyst estimates, over a 7.5-year mine life.
And free cash flow per year. So essentially it's 18 months time from now, would you say?
That would be our target. I mean, what we're indicating is around a 12 to 18 month de-risking process. So during that process, what we'll be doing is the detailed engineering around the filter tailings. We'll be doing infill drill program for the first 3 years of production. So we understand where we're going, looking at mine plan optimizations, the existing infrastructure underground, the stable ground conditions, but focusing, saying, are we hitting the right areas of the mine? What is our plan? Are there opportunities to look at long hole stoping and maximize throughput? Target is 2,500 tons per day is a consistent throughput we're looking, and we believe the mine's capable of it. It produced at those levels in the past. So the PA is reasonable in those assumptions. And also looking at metallurgical test work studies to kind of refine some of the met work that's been done already.
Right. And just clarify, the permitting's all in place as well. So there's no other roadblocks potentially in the way. The community are in support.
There's a 3,000 ton per day mill that's sitting there, existing infrastructure. There is refurbishment that's required to be able to make the mill operational, but we're comfortable with that work.
Brilliant. So let's talk about the actual transaction itself, because it's, in looking at it, for something that goes into production in 18 months, has existing infrastructure, it seems like a pretty good deal. Maybe you can talk about the actual financials around it.
Yeah, sure, Peter. So there's really two pieces to the transaction. It's the acquisition of La Negra, and subsequent to that, we've also undertaken a restructuring of the debentures, existing debentures with Excellon. So on the acquisition, it's an all-share transaction. Initial payment of US $20 million to two parties, to Orion, the vendor of the asset, plus M Grupo, who is a party to a joint venture with Orion on the asset. So the $20 million is split between those two on a 60-40 Orion M Grupo basis. And then upon achieving commercial production at that time, payments up to $30 million US over two tranches. So total consideration, $50 million for the mine, but initial payment out the door today, only $20 million.
How does this look in terms of financing the acquisition? Is this convertible into equity, or will you need to be raising funds to pay for these?
Yeah, so concurrent to the transaction, we're looking to raise the 10 million US. That would be the 12 to 18 month de-risking process. So key here is that all these proceeds are going in the ground to advance the asset and advance exploration of the asset. None of this money is going to refinance existing parties. They're comfortable taking 100% equity in Excellon.
So following up on the debentures, maybe you could just provide a bit more clarity on that part.
Sure, Peter. So historically, Excellon had 17.9 million Canadian in outstanding debentures. Concurrent to the La Negra acquisition, what we've done is restructured that such that 25% of the debentures will be converted immediately at a similar price, 48 cents to the vending of La Negra. And the remaining will be pushed out from maturity to 2027 from basically June of this year to 2027. What that does is gives us the increased financial flexibility to develop La Negra, restart the mine, and along the way focus on the key metrics to be successful there without having the overhang of a near-term refinancing of the debt.
Brilliant. Okay. How does this fit into the corporate strategy? But obviously, last time we spoke, we were talking about a spin out in Saxony, further exploration work in the United States. Where does this fit in a project that's going to essentially be bringing in cash flow within the next 12, 18 months?
I think that's a great question. So critical still is that if you take a snapshot of our deposits, we have the Kilgore project, was epithermal gold in Idaho, and we also have Saxony Silver, which is a high-grade silver project in Saxony, Germany. So in the context of the spin-out, it's something we're still considering, trying to figure out what is the right time for the markets, and do we consider the spin-out concurrent to doing this acquisition as well. So really it comes down to timing decisions internally, and what is the most efficient way to get capital into Saxony Silver, which is exploration capital, and largely a different slug of capital than I'd say mine development and restart financing capital, which is what we're focusing for La Negra. And then at Kilgore, it's key is that we're developing what will be the 2023 exploration program, and we'll come up with updates on that probably in Q1. What we'd be looking for is kind of the next step for the summer program.
Sean, what are the merits not only of course the transaction, but having a group like Orion on the financing side and then M Group locally?
The merits of the transaction really bring in three parties. That's Excellon, Orion, and M Grupo, and each party has its respective kind of, I'd say, value add to the transaction. So of course, with Excellon, we have the operational know-how and the relationships to execute successfully in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Orion, being the vendor of the asset, is a long-term strategic and capital provider. And M Grupo itself is critical because they're looking at the asset as industry relations and the I'd say the deep relationships at site and with the communities to be able to give that social license to be successful with the project.
So over the next 12 months, what can we expect to see coming out of the company?
Over the next 12 months, the focus will be, as I mentioned, tailings management, completing the detailed engineering around the filter tailings, infill drilling, looking at mine plan optimizations and process analyses and met test work. So we expect to have exciting news flow over that basis that really just proves up the de-risking strategy of La Negra and the restart. Concurrent to that as well, we're looking at raising capital for exploration, both near mine and regional. That exploration go into the near mine would be to look at expanding some of the inferred mineralization that's in the mine existing, where we see it's been under drilled. It's not structurally constrained and has significant potential to expand that. And the more regional exploration, which includes, of course, surface mapping and doing a lot of detailed analysis that hasn't been completed or was that could be bolstered from past analysis completed.
Sean Hayworth, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me.